You're in a room you're not supposed to be in. The job, the relationship, the opportunity, the level, the conversation. Everyone else seems to know what they're doing. They speak with confidence. They reference things you've never heard of. They move through the space like they own it. And you're there thinking, they're going to figure it out. Any moment now, someone's going to realize, I don't belong here, that I'm not qualified, that I talked my way in, that I'm faking it. This is imposter syndrome, and you've been told it's a problem, a cognitive distortion, a sign of low self-esteem, something to overcome through affirmations and positive self-talk and believing in yourself. But what if that's wrong? What if imposter syndrome is not a bug in your psychology? What if it's a feature? What if it's trying to tell you something critically important? There was a philosopher who understood anxiety better than almost anyone. His name was Søren Kierkegaard, and he lived in the early 1800s, thinking deeply about what it means to be human, to have choice, to face possibility. And he discovered something that most people never understand, that anxiety is not the enemy. Anxiety is the signal that you're alive, that you're free, that you're facing real possibility rather than just going through motions. He called anxiety the dizziness of freedom, the feeling you get when you're standing at the edge of who you are, looking at who you could become, and realizing that the gap between those two things is yours to cross or not cross. Imposter syndrome is that dizziness, that vertigo, that sense that you're in over your head. And it's not a sign that you're in the wrong room. It's a sign that you're in the right one. If you're watching this, you've felt it. That gnawing sense of inadequacy, that fear of being exposed, that certainty that everyone else belongs and you're just pretending. And you've probably tried to make it go away, to convince yourself you're good enough, to fake confidence until you feel it, to silence the voice that says you're not ready. But what if the voice is right? What if you're not ready? And what if that's exactly the point? Let me show you what imposter syndrome actually means. It means you're attempting something you haven't mastered yet. It means you're in a situation that requires more than you currently have. It means you're stretching beyond the edges of your competence. That's not a problem. That's growth. That's the only way humans get better at anything. The people who never feel imposter syndrome are not more confident than you. They're more comfortable. They've stayed in rooms where they already know all the answers, where they're the expert, where nothing is at stake because nothing is new. They feel calm because they're not growing. They feel certain because they're not learning. They feel like they belong because they've never left the place they've always been. You feel like an imposter because you left, because you took the risk, because you're in a room that's bigger than you are, and you know it. Kierkegaard would say you're experiencing the anxiety of possibility. You're standing in front of multiple futures. The future where you rise to the challenge. The future where you fail. The future where you retreat. The future where you grow. All of those futures are possible. All of them are real. And you don't know which one you're going to live yet. That uncertainty, that not knowing, that's what creates the anxiety. That's what makes you feel like you don't belong. But here's the truth. Everyone in that room feels it too. Or they felt it when they first arrived. Or they should feel it if they're still growing. The difference is that some people learned to use it. They learned that imposter syndrome is not a warning to leave. It's a signal that they're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. But we need to make a distinction here, a critical one, because not all feelings of inadequacy are created equal. There's productive anxiety, and there's destructive anxiety. And knowing the difference is everything. Productive anxiety says, I'm not good enough yet, so I need to work harder. I need to learn faster. I need to ask better questions. I need to rise to this challenge. It's uncomfortable. It creates urgency. It drives preparation. It keeps you sharp. It makes you better. Destructive anxiety says, I'm not good enough, and I never will be. I shouldn't be here. I'm going to be exposed. I should leave before they figure it out. It's paralyzing. It creates avoidance. It prevents action. It keeps you stuck. It makes you smaller. Same feeling. Different interpretation. Different outcome. Kierkegaard understood this. He made a distinction between anxiety and dread. Anxiety is the feeling of possibility, the awareness that you could become something you're not yet. That's productive. That's the engine of growth. Dread is the feeling that you're fundamentally inadequate, that no amount of work will close the gap, that you're broken at the core. That's destructive. That's the voice of trauma, or mental illness, or circumstances that need professional support. Here's how you tell the difference. Ask yourself, does this feeling make me want to work harder or give up? If it makes you work harder, it's productive anxiety. It's imposter syndrome doing its job, showing you the gap, creating urgency, motivating effort. If it makes you want to give up, to hide, to avoid, to retreat, that's destructive anxiety. That's not imposter syndrome. That's something else. And it might need help beyond what this video can offer. Ask yourself, is the gap real? Are you actually less qualified than the people around you? Are you actually unprepared for what you're doing? Are you actually in over your head? If yes, then the anxiety is giving you accurate information. You need more skills, more knowledge, more preparation. That's not a character flaw. That's a to-do list. If you're objectively qualified, but still feel inadequate, that's a different problem. That's a distortion that needs examination. Maybe therapy. Maybe deeper work on self-worth. Ask yourself, does this feeling go away when I'm competent? Or does it follow me everywhere? If you felt like an imposter in the last room, worked hard, became competent, and now feel fine there, but feel like an imposter in this new, harder room, that's productive. That's the pattern of growth. Challenge, struggle, mastery, new challenge. If you feel like an imposter everywhere, always, no matter what you achieve or how competent you become, that's not imposter syndrome. That's chronic self-doubt, and it needs a different intervention. So let's assume you're in the productive category. You're in a room that's bigger than you are. You feel the inadequacy, and you're using it as fuel, rather than letting it paralyze you. Here's what that inadequacy is giving you. Humility. Real humility. Not the false modesty that pretends incompetence. The actual awareness that you don't know everything, that you have more to learn, that the people around you have something to teach you. Arrogant people don't feel imposter syndrome. They walk into every room thinking they belong, thinking they're the smartest person there, thinking they have nothing to learn. And they stay exactly where they are, because you cannot learn what you think you already know. You feel inadequate because you're aware of what you don't know. That awareness is a gift. It keeps you teachable. It keeps you growing. It keeps you asking questions instead of performing certainty. Motivation. The discomfort of inadequacy creates urgency. It makes you work harder than you would if you felt completely comfortable. It drives preparation. It fuels improvement. The research is clear on this. Slight anxiety improves performance. Not crippling anxiety, not panic, but the mild stress of knowing you're not quite ready creates better outcomes than total comfort. When you feel like an imposter, you prepare more, you study more, you practice more, you take it seriously. And that extra effort is what makes you actually become competent. Information. Your imposter syndrome is telling you exactly where the gaps are, what you need to learn, what skills you need to develop, what knowledge you need to acquire. If you listen to it, if you use it as a diagnostic tool rather than a judgment, it becomes a roadmap. It tells you what to study, what to practice, where to focus your effort. Most people try to silence imposter syndrome with affirmations. I am enough. I belong here. I deserve this. And they miss the information, the specific, actionable information about what they need to do to actually become as competent as the room requires. Kierkegaard had a framework for this, a way of thinking about anxiety that transforms it from enemy to teacher. He said that anxiety arises when you're confronted with freedom, with choice, with the awareness that your future is not determined, that you could become something you're not yet, or you could fail, or you could retreat, and you don't know which. That uncertainty is anxiety, and most people try to escape it. They try to eliminate the uncertainty by either denying their freedom or denying the challenge. They deny their freedom by saying, I have no choice. I have to stay where I am. I can't do anything about this. They give up agency to escape the anxiety. Or they deny the challenge by saying, this is easy. I've got this. No problem. They fake confidence to avoid feeling the gap. Both are escapes. Both are ways of not being fully present to the reality of where you are. Kierkegaard proposed a third way. He called it faith. Not religious faith, necessarily. Existential faith. The faith that you can become what you're not yet. That you can rise to the challenge. That the anxiety is not a warning to leave, but an invitation to grow. Here's how you practice this. When you feel imposter syndrome, don't fight it. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. Don't perform confidence that you don't feel. Acknowledge it. Yes, I feel inadequate. Yes, I'm in over my head. Yes, I don't know everything I need to know. Then ask, what is this feeling telling me to do? Not what is it telling me about my worth? What is it telling me to do? Usually, it's telling you to prepare, to learn, to ask questions, to work harder, to take this seriously, to earn your place in the room through effort rather than assuming you deserve it through entitlement. Do that. Use the anxiety as fuel. Let it drive preparation rather than avoidance. And then, here's the critical part. Have faith that the effort will work, that you can close the gap, that you can become competent, that this feeling of inadequacy is temporary and will resolve through work, not fake confidence. Faith. The decision to trust the process, even though you don't have guarantees. But I need to tell you something important, something that keeps this philosophy from becoming toxic. Imposter syndrome is useful when you're in a room that's slightly too big for you, when you're stretching, when you're challenged, but not destroyed. It's not useful when you're in a room that's completely wrong for you, when the gap is so large that no amount of effort will close it, when you're not stretching, you're breaking. There's a difference between a learning curve and an impossible situation. between healthy challenge and destructive environment, between imposter syndrome and actual misplacement. Here's how you know. If you're working hard, learning, improving, and the feeling of inadequacy is slowly decreasing, you're in the right room. The imposter syndrome was accurate. You weren't ready. Now you're getting ready. Stay. If you're working hard, learning, improving, and the feeling of inadequacy is staying the same or getting worse, something else is happening. Either the room is wrong, or the anxiety is not productive, or you're not getting support. You're not getting. If the environment is actively hostile, if people are undermining you, if you're being set up to fail, if the standards are arbitrary or impossible or designed to exclude you, that's not imposter syndrome. That's a bad situation, and you should consider leaving. Imposter syndrome is useful when it reflects a real gap that effort can close. It's not useful when it reflects dysfunction that effort can't fix. Know the difference. Be honest about which situation you're actually in, and have the courage to leave when leaving is the right choice. So here's what you need to understand about that feeling in your chest, that sense that you don't belong, that you're not ready, that everyone else knows something you don't, that you're going to be exposed as inadequate. That feeling is not the enemy. It's not a cognitive distortion that needs to be fixed with affirmations. It's information, accurate information. You're in a room that's bigger than you currently are. You're attempting something you haven't mastered. You're stretching beyond your current competence. And that's exactly where you should be. Because the alternative is staying in rooms where you already know all the answers, where nothing challenges you, where you feel comfortable because you're not growing. Kierkegaard called anxiety the dizziness of freedom, the vertigo you feel when you're standing at the edge of who you are, looking at who you could become. That dizziness is not telling you to step back. It's inviting you to step forward. So when you feel imposter syndrome, when that voice says you're not good enough yet, listen to it. It's right. You're not. Yet. Then ask what you need to do to close the gap, what skills to develop, what knowledge to gain, what preparation to complete, and then do the work. Not because you're trying to prove something, because you're trying to become something, because you're in the right room at the right time, and you're rising to meet it. Most people spend their lives avoiding imposter syndrome. They stay small. They stay safe. They stay in rooms where they already know they belong. You're in a bigger room, and you feel inadequate because you are. You haven't earned your place yet. You haven't become competent yet. You haven't closed the gap yet. But you will, if you use the anxiety as fuel, if you let it drive preparation instead of avoidance, if you have faith that effort works. That's the choice. Run from the anxiety and stay small, or use the anxiety and become bigger. Kierkegaard would tell you that the anxiety is the price of freedom, the cost of being alive, the feeling that comes from facing real possibility. You can eliminate the anxiety by eliminating the possibility, by staying where you are, by never stretching, by never attempting anything you're not already good at. Or you can keep the anxiety and use it. Let it show you where you need to grow. Let it drive the work that makes you competent. Let it be the engine of your becoming. Imposter syndrome is not your enemy. It's the sign that you're in the right room, doing the right work at the right time. The question is whether you're brave enough to stay there and do what it's asking you to do.